Hello friends, welcome to a new chapter today. In this chapter in anatomy we are going to learn about first spleen. So, in the spleen, this is the largest lymphoid organ. So, among all the lymphatic organs which are present here, spleen is actually the largest lymphoid organ. Okay, spleen is the largest lymphoid organ. What are the functions of spleen? Okay. The functions of the spleen mainly include it is to filter the blood by removing worn out RBCs and microbial agents. So it will filter the blood by removing the worn out RBCs and microbial agents from circulation. Then it is also useful to manufacture RBCs in fetal life and lymphocytes after birth. So after birth it helps to manufacture the RBCs in fetal life, and lymphocytes are produced from the spleen, and it also provides immunity to the body. How does it provide immunity to the body? By producing immunoglobulin M by plasma cells. Okay, so spleen will help to provide immunity, okay, with IgM cells which are produced by the plasma cells. Then it also stores RBCs and release them in circulation when required. So that is the place where we have red pulp also. Okay, so these are the main functions of the spleen. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, these are the different functions of the spleen. Now let us learn about the location of the spleen. So if you see, where is spleen located? It is located in which quadrant first? If you actually see, it is located in, this is the hypochondriac region, right? This is hypochondriac region. So it is location is in the left hypochondriac region, and if you see, it is present above the stomach, right? And here between the stomach and the duodenum, and behind the mid axillary line, it is located in the left hypochondrium at mid axillary line, which is opposite to 9th, 10th and 11th ribs. These are the places where we see this spleen. Spleen is located at the mid axillary line opposite to 9th, 10th and 11th ribs, right? Then if you see, the long axis of the spleen corresponds to the 10th rib. The long axis of the spleen will correspond to the 10th rib only. Then what is the size of the spleen? Size of the spleen is also important. Spleen actually measures 1 minute. Before measures, it is actually wedge shaped, right? Does it look wedge shaped? Yes, it is wedge shaped in structure, and it is purple in color. That is the reason why in this picture you can see purple color spleen. And the size roughly corresponds to one's fist. So the fist of the person is equal to the size of the spleen roughly. According to the shape of the spleen, the spleen has 3 types. Spleen is classified into 3 types. So what are the 3 types of spleen which are there? So they are: 1, we have wedge shaped spleen, which is present in 44% of people. Then we have tetrahedral spleen, which is present in 42%. Then we also have triangular spleen, which is present in 14%. In 14% there is triangular spleen. Then what about the measurement of spleen? Measurement of spleen are very important. Measurement of spleen, if you take into account, we have the thickness of spleen is 1 inch. So the thickness of spleen is 1 inch. Then the breadth of the spleen is 3 inches in breadth. The length of spleen is 5 inches in length. Then we have weight of spleen is 7 oz. So if you see, it has one pattern 1357, and this 1357 is called as Harris dictum of odd numbers. That is 1 3 7 5 7. Then we have 9 11. What does 9 and 11 corresponds to? The spleen extends from 9th to 11th ribs. Okay, so this is the main important thing about the spleen, from location to the measurements. Okay, this is very important. Then if you see the spleen, has surface projections. Okay, surface projections, if you see, the spleen is mainly marked on the surface on the left side of the border, left side of back of trunk, and its long axis will correspond to the 10th rib, as I have already said. Upper border of the spleen corresponds to the upper border of 9th rib, whereas the lower border corresponds to the lower border of 11th rib. So upper border corresponds to upper border of 9th rib, whereas lower border of spleen corresponds to lower border of 11th rib. So if you see this, I'll just draw the picture so that it becomes easier. See, I'm taking this to be my spleen on the left side of the body. Okay, I'll take it, I'm going to draw the back picture of a back. Okay, here you have the spleen like this. So if you see, the upper border of this spleen corresponds to the upper border of 9th rib, whereas lower border of the spleen corresponds to the lower border of 11th rib. Okay, so the long axis of the spleen will correspond to the 10th rib. Fine. Next if you see this spleen, the medial end of this spleen will lie 5 centimeters from the posterior midline. So this is the posterior midline. So medial border of the spleen lies 5 centimeters from the posterior midline. Okay, and that is at the level of, if you see the level, it is present at the level of T10 vertebrae. It is present at the level of T10 vertebrae. So the same thing, if I have to write in, has a matter. So if you see here, the spleen is present 5 centimeters from the midline, or we can say from the posterior midline of the body at the level of spine of 10th, that is T10 or 10th thoracic vertebrae. Okay, so this is about spleen, which is important. Next, once we have learnt the main features of spleen, now let us see the external surface of spleen. So if you see the spleen, it has two ends, right? It has anterior end. This is the anterior end. We have the posterior end. Okay, it has two ends, anterior end and posterior end, and it has two surfaces. This is the diaphragmatic surface, this is the visceral surface. Okay, it has two borders. It has the superior border, this is superior border, this is inferior border. Okay, so let me write the same again. So if you see, spleen has two ends, that is we have anterior end and posterior end. It has two borders, that is we have superior border and inferior border. Then there are two surfaces. What are the two surfaces? They are diaphragmatic surface and the visceral surface. Okay, so first we will see few points about the anterior border, right? So first we will learn just few points about the anterior border first. So first ends, we will see ends, not borders. So this is the posterior end and this is the anterior end, right? So first, what do you see in anterior ends? In the anterior end, we can also call this as, there are many names given to it. It can be called as lateral end or it can be called as lower pole. It is actually broad and you can see that it is directed downwards, forwards. It is directed downwards, forwards and to the left. And what about the relations? It is related to the left colic flexure in front. So if you see the relations, left colic flexure, it is related to left colic flexure in front, and it is related to phrenico colic ligament below. Okay, then we have next end, which is called as posterior end. It is, this end is also called as medial end, or we can also call as upper pole. Okay, this upper pole, if you see, it is blunt and rounded and it is directed upwards, backwards and medially towards the vertebral column. Okay, it is related to the upper pole of the left kidney. It is related to the upper pole of the left kidney. So this is the thing which you see in the posterior end. So in the anterior end and posterior end. So here in this spleen which we are talking about, it has an posterior end, it has an anterior end. Okay, this anterior end is related to the, is directed downwards, forwards and to the left. Okay, and it is related to left colic flexure. There is left colic flexure present in this anterior end. Okay, even this is the picture from behind. If I don't specify it, then it will be a problem. Okay, it is related to the left colic flexure in the behind and phrenico-colic ligament below. There will be phrenico-colic ligament which is connecting the colon with the diaphragm. Then we have posterior, see this is the diaphragm, so this is the phrenico-colic ligament which is connecting this diaphragm with this. Okay, then you see the posterior end. Posterior end is related to the upper pole of the kidney. So left kidney will be somewhere here. So it is related to the upper pole of the left kidney. This is kidney. Okay, so this is the gist of what I have written. Then we have borders. Yeah, in the borders, if you see, I will just show you the same picture. So if you see here, you can see the borders. So what are the borders of the spleen? We have two borders. One, we have superior border or superior margin, and second we have inferior margin. Okay, so first in the superior margin, if you see, you can see that in the superior margin it is thin and convex, and it separates the visceral surface, that is, it separates this gastric impression from the diaphragmatic surface. It separates the visceral surface, that is gastric impression, from the diaphragmatic surface. It has mainly two notches are seen near its anterior end. These are the two notches. These notches indicate that the spleen is developed by the fusion of separate masses of lymphoid tissue. Okay, then if you see the inferior border will separate the visceral surface, that is renal impression, from the diaphragmatic surface. It is rounded and corresponds to the lower border of 11th ribs. So if you see, just a minute. So if you see, in this we have superior border of spleen will actually separate. Here this superior border separates the hepatic impression, sorry, not hepatic impression, sorry, superior border separates the gastric impression on the visceral surface and the diaphragmatic surface, right? Whereas the inferior border, it will mainly separate the hepatic impression on the visceral surface and the diaphragmatic surface. And if you see in the superior border, one more thing which you have to remember is there is superior notches are present, which will correspond to the fusion of separate, that is correspond to lobular development, that the spleen is developed in lobules, not in one whole bunch. So that is the superior border and inferior border which you see. Okay, so this is the hepatic, sorry, I'm really sorry. So this is the gastric impression and this is the hepatic impression and this is the diaphragmatic surface. So this is how the borders of the spleen are divided. Then we have surfaces of spleen. So if you see, we have two surfaces of spleen, right? We have the visceral surface and we have the diaphragmatic surface of spleen. So I have said there are two surfaces of spleen. One is diaphragmatic surface, second is visceral surface. So this is the visceral surface, which is concave and irregular, right? It has the following impressions. So this is the visceral surface, okay, and it has the following impressions. One, it has the gastric impression, which is mainly produced by the fundus of the stomach. This gastric impression is produced by the fundus of the stomach. Actually, this is the largest impression when compared to others. Okay, then we have pancreatic impression, which you can see, and this pancreatic impression is produced by the tail of pancreas and it is present between the hilum and colonic impression. Then we have colonic impression. Here the colonic impression is mainly produced by left colic flexure, and this colonic impression is actually triangular in shape and situated in front of the lateral end. Then we have renal impression, which is mainly produced by the left kidney and lies below and behind the gastric impression between the intermediate and inferior borders. Okay, so these are the visceral relationships which you see in the kidney. Then if you see diaphragmatic surface, there is nothing important in diaphragmatic surface. if you see here in this diagram itself, diaphragmatic surface is mainly related to the ribs. So diaphragmatic surface has smooth convex. If you see, this visceral surface is actually concave and it is irregular, whereas diaphragmatic surface is smooth and it is convex. Okay, so these are the relations of the spleen. Okay, now what about the peritoneal relations of spleen? So we also have relations called as peritoneal relations of spleen. Okay, this is the picture of peritoneal relations of the spleen. If you see, the spleen is actually enclosed in a peritoneum. See, I'll just so here we have peritoneal relations of the spleen. So here if you see, spleen is enclosed completely by the peritoneum, enclosed in the peritoneum, except at hilum. There is no peritoneum seen in the hilum. Here at hilum, the two peritoneal folds extend, one to the gastric or stomach and the other to the kidney, and this will lead to the formation of gastrosplenic ligament and lienorenal ligament. So if you see at the hilum of the spleen, this peritoneum which is, see, this is the I'll just label the pictures. So if you see, this is peritoneum which we are talking about. Okay, this peritoneum is completely enclosing the spleen, except it is not enclosed at the hilum, and from the hilum it will form two ligaments. One, we have this ligament which is gastrosplenic ligament. Second, we have this ligament which is lienorenal ligament. Okay, gastrosplenic ligament extends from the hilum of the spleen to upper 1/3 of greater curvature of stomach, right? And here it has the gastric vessels. What is important here is this gastrosplenic ligaments encloses the gastric vessels. Then we have lienorenal ligament. As the name says, lino is spleen, from the spleen to renal is to the kidney. So this ligament extends from the hilum of the spleen to the kidney. It will enclose the tail of pancreas. Okay, it will enclose the splenic vessels. It will enclose the tail of pancreas, splenic vessels, and also pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes. It will enclose the tail of pancreas, splenic vessels, and pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes are seen. So these are the different peritoneal relations of the spleen. Then we will see the arterial supply and venous supply. So we have first arterial supply. So artery of the spleen which is supplying the spleen is splenic artery. Splenic artery mainly supplies the spleen. So this splenic artery is the largest artery. Actually, it is the largest branch of celiac trunk which is supplying the spleen. Okay, that is splenic artery is supplying the spleen. It traverses through the lienorenal ligament to reach near the hilum of the spleen, where it divides into 5 or more branches, and then it traverses through lienorenal ligament and then reaches the spleen, where it enters the spleen and divides into, you can see 4 or 5 branches which are being divided here, and it enters the spleen. Okay, so it is markedly tortuous. Okay, one important thing, there are some important points about splenic artery. So if you see, splenic artery will travel through lienorenal ligament. It is a content of lienorenal ligament. It is tortuous in its course. Why is it tortuous in its course? What is its significance? If you see, because it is tortuous, it will allow movements of the spleen. At least some movements of spleen are allowed because of this tortuosity, and because of its tortuous nature, it will also cause distension of the stomach. It will also help in distension of the stomach without obstruction to blood flow, and this tortuosity will also help in regulation of blood supply to spleen in different metabolic activities. It will regulate the blood supply to the spleen also. Okay, so these are the things that you see in the spleen in splenic artery. Then here that is about splenic artery. Along with splenic, that is arterial supply. Then if you see venous drainage is also by splenic vein. Splenic vein supplies the, drains the blood from the spleen. Okay, the splenic vein runs in straight course. So if you see, the splenic vein is running straight course from left to right behind the body of the pancreas, and behind the neck of the pancreas this joins the superior mesenteric vein to form the portal vein. Okay, so this splenic vein joins superior mesenteric vein to form portal vein. Then if you were asked about the tributaries of splenic vein mainly include, we have a short gastric vein which supplies the stomach, that is fundus of the stomach. We have left gastroepiploic vein which supplies the stomach, which is greater curvature of the stomach, is also a branch of splenic vein. Then we have pancreatic veins which supplies the pancreas, and we have inferior mesenteric veins which will supply the many different which will drain the blood from the lower part of the body. So that is inferior mesenteric vein. So these are the tributaries of splenic vein. Right, now if you see lymphatic drainage, splenic tissue proper has no lymphatics. Actually, if you see the lymphatic drainage, I'll write it here. Okay, sorry. So if you see about the lymphatic drainage, spleen by itself has no lymphatic drainage. Except in trabeculae, capsule. Lymphatic drainage is just present in trabeculae, capsule and visceral peritoneum. It is present in trabeculae, capsule and visceral peritoneum only. Okay, so this is about the spleen. Then the last point, what about the nerve supply of spleen? Nerve supply is supplied by the celiac plexus, that is sympathetic nerve supply is by celiac plexus. So this is the important points about spleen. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. In the next class we will learn about one more important topic. Thank you.